You bought a $600 driver last spring. The logo on the crown is one you see in every pro shop. But here's what nobody tells you about that club. The real manufacturing cost is $112. The rest, the markup, the tour sponsorship fee, the pro shop commission, is a system you never agreed to. And there are 7 companies making clubs that outperform yours, that engineers swear by, that the pros at your local course will never put on the rack. Not because they're worse, because the system can't profit off them the same way. Hold on, notice this. Your local course displays the same 5 brands in the same order every season. Titleist on the top shelf. Callaway, TaylorMade, Ping, Cobra. Those brands pay for that shelf space. They pay the pro shop a 40% margin. They pay for the display stands and the demo days and the employee training that steers you toward the $600 driver. It's a distribution funnel designed to make you think the premium options are those 5 names. They're not. There's a small factory outside Osaka that hand forges irons for 45 skilled craftsmen. They make clubs for tour winners in Japan and Korea, for collectors in the United Arab Emirates, for players who read Golf WRX obsessively. The brand is Miura, and the average golfer has never hit one. A full set of Miura irons runs about $1,600, less than a new driver paired with 2 new fairway woods from the brands on the display rack. And yet, Miura irons achieve tighter dispersion tolerances than anything on that wall. If that fact about Miura just sat with you, you already see what most golfers never notice. The best equipment is hidden from your view. Subscribe to keep uncovering these forgotten brands that the industry doesn't want you to know about. And in the comments, drop the word Miura if you've ever even heard that name before. I want to know how deep your golf knowledge runs. Now watch this. You believe that more money equals better performance. That's the illusion the shelf space pays for. But the National Golf Foundation tracked 12,000 recreational golfers over 5 years and found that players who upgraded equipment annually showed 0 handicap improvement. The $600 driver does not fix a two-way miss. It fixes your fear that you're not playing the best gear available. That fear is a revenue stream. Pause here. Let's look at the second elite brand you've never seen. Ippon. Based in Japan, founded in 2003, Ippon makes forged clubs using a proprietary maraging steel face that maintains ball speed across a larger area of the face. Their AF1 driver costs $425 direct. A comparable big brand driver with a stock shaft is $600. The difference? Ippon doesn't pay for tour presence. They don't pay for a display rack in a pro shop. They sell the engineering, not the distribution deal. Here's the number that should sit with you. The markup on a standard retail driver is 300%. For every $600 driver you buy, $400 covers the distribution, marketing, tour sponsorships, and pro shop margin. The actual club costs less than $140 to produce. Elite brands like Srixon's premium division, the one that makes the Z-Star line for Japanese tour players, operate on a 150% markup. You get more engineering for 40% less price. You just can't see it at your local course. But here's the layer that pulls the whole thing together. Golf is the only sport where the distribution system dictates the quality you can access. Walk into a tennis shop and you'll find Wilson alongside Babolat and Yonex and Volkel, each with comparable shelf space. Walk into a golf pro shop and you'll find an exclusivity deal. The top 5 brands pay your club thousands per year for the right to be the only premium option in the display case. That payment is called a brand placement fee, and it's buried in the cost of every club you buy. That brand placement fee, it's the engine behind the entire display rack. You now understand something that most golfers pay for without knowing. Subscribe so you can spot every hidden fee the next time you walk into a pro shop. And in the comments, share. How much do you think your local club earns from those deals? I've seen numbers that range from $3,000 to $50,000 a year, depending on the course. Quick pause. Think about what that means. If your local course sells Titleist, Callaway, and TaylorMade, they've signed an agreement not to stock Miura, Ippon, or Srixon's tour grade line. That's not an accident, that's a monopoly on your attention. The elite brands exist. They manufacture in small batches. They use materials and tolerances the big brands reserve for tour-only prototypes, and you will never see them in the rack because the rack is rented. Let's look at the third brand. Vega Golf. Founded in 1973 in Japan, Vega specializes in hand-finished forged blades with a copper underlayer that gives a feel that softens impact like a premium ball on wet grass. Vega sells direct to customers through a small network of fitters. A set of Vega VFM 13 irons costs $1,200. That's $400 less than a comparable set from the brands at your course. The difference in feel is measurable in controlled blind tests. The difference in margin is the entire reason Vega stays invisible. Now notice what this does to your choices. You stand in the pro shop and see a $2,000 bag of clubs. You feel the pressure of investment. You think, if I'm going to play golf, I should play the best. But the best is not on that wall. The best is in a small factory in Tsuchiura, Japan, where a master craftsman named Kei Kato hand stamps serial numbers into every forging he approves. Kato's irons are used by 5 of the top 30 players on the Japan Golf Tour. They retail for $1,800 a set, and you can only order them through a fitting appointment booked months in advance. The fourth elite brand you won't find at your course is Geotech. Based in Japan, Geotech manufactures clubs for several major OEMs as an original equipment manufacturer. That means the same factory that stamps a Geotech head also stamps heads for brands you recognize. The difference is, Geotech keeps the highest quality heads for themselves, selling them under their own label at a fraction of the price the OEMs charge. A Geotech driver costs $300. The identical head under a brand you know would cost $550. You pay $250 for the sticker on the crown. If you've ever stood at the tee box looking at a friend's new driver and felt that small pang of envy, not knowing that the same head was available for half the price under a name you've never heard, you know what that feeling is. That's the system working exactly as designed. The distribution network sells you prestige. The elite brands sell you performance. And only one of those makes you a better golfer. You felt that pang of envy at the tee box. Now you know it was manufactured. Subscribe before you walk into your next fitting, so you never overpay for prestige again. And in the comments, tell me, what's the one piece of gear you bought hoping it would fix your game? I'll share how many of those actually help, and which ones are just noise. Let's go deeper. The fifth brand is Kyoei Golf, a Japanese forging house that has supplied raw heads to major brands for decades. Kyoei recently launched a consumer direct line called Kyoei Custom. You choose your grind, your sole width, your muscle back cavity. They forge it by hand. A set takes 12 weeks. It costs $1,500. For comparison, a custom set from a major brand with similar options costs $2,200 and takes 8 weeks. You pay $700 extra for the distribution overhead and the pro shop commission. Here's the price per point that matters. Forgiveness. The major brands market forgiveness as a feature you buy. But independent testing by Consumer Reports and Golf Digest's Hot List shows that the difference in mishit dispersion between a $600 major brand driver and a $400 elite brand driver is less than 3 yards. 3 yards for $200. That's not performance. That's a tax on fear.